Introducing the all-new nuke. There are many bombs in this world, but nothing quite like the nuke. The nuke was a technological marvel that would forever warp the face of war. A design created by the most innovative minds of its time. A bomb that takes 600 billionth of a second to cause a chain reaction.
There's a perception out there that you have to fish deep in the winter, but is that true? Let's talk about that today on the Googan Lab. So yes, it is true. Fishing deep in the wintertime can be really productive if you find these schools of fish that move out to their winter positions and haunts, as they're sometimes called. But there are always fish that stay shallow, that will move shallow in the winter and feed at certain times. So let's talk about the certain times that you can go and fish shallow in the winter. So the obvious time to go fish shallow in the winter is when you have a warm front coming in. You get those southern winds and the water starts to warm up a little bit. And what happens when the water warms, it warms at the surface, and whatever direction that wind is blowing is gonna push that warm surface water towards whatever bank that is, and that is where you want to focus on. Most often that is going to be on the north side of whatever body of water you're fishing, because you're getting those southern winds pushing that warm water up north. So you want to look for banks that are on that north side, but there's another key to it, and that is any kind of bank, any kind of stretch that has some deeper water close by. Deeper water close by is going to allow these fish to move up and down through the water column if there's changing conditions. And so if they're in a creek channel, for example, and it warms up and it's pushing bait up shallow, those fish are gonna go up on those shallow banks and take advantage of that bait up shallow, where they can really pin them down and feed effectively. So watching the weather is important, and I like to look at what the wind was doing a day or 2 days before. Even if it's still kind of cold, if you had a warm front that came in and it was windy, that water's gonna stay warm. So you can go fish those banks days after that warm front came through. When I say shallow, I'm talking less than 8 feet of water most places. Sometimes they'll get up into 2-3 foot of water, especially if you have grass. If you have rocks or grass, anything that holds heat, if you have some sunshine coming in, that especially helps. Anything that's gonna hold heat. Riprap is one of my favorite things to fish, but any sort of grass that will retain that heat, fish will stay in there, bait will stay in there during the winter. Cranking is one of my favorite techniques for when the bass are up shallow in the winter time. This can be with a lipless crankbait like a clutch, or the banger that's got a small lip on it, can deflect off of cover. You can use that around any sort of rocks, hard cover. The lipless is excellent around grass. Ripping a lipless crankbait through grass is just an excellent way to catch bass when it's cold during the winter time. Spinnerbait is another excellent way to catch them, especially when you got a ton of shad moving around. My favorite color is white, or chartreuse and white in the winter. Go with a 3/8 or a half, and just slow that retrieve down, maintain contact with the cover. And then lastly, if you've got an isolated piece of cover on those good looking banks, a Texas rig or a jig is excellent. I like to throw jigs. They get big bites, and in the wintertime, there's always some big bass that are just full of eggs, and I like to go with a jig. Something black and blue, 3/8 or half. Throw your favorite sort of trailer on that, fish that slow through the cover. So if you have days of just really cold weather, going up shallow is probably gonna be really slow and tough. But if you've got a little warming trend, that is the time to go up shallow and just fish slow. Those fish are gonna go up there, warm their body temperatures up a little bit, and take advantage of that feeding opportunity. So yes, you can fish shallow in the wintertime. You just have to pick the right conditions. So stay tuned for more tips and tricks right here at the Googan Lab. We'll see you on the next one.